My brother-in-law slammed his hand onto the dinner table so hard that glasses rattled. Then he pointed directly at my 12-year-old daughter. She broke my watch. The entire restaurant went silent. My daughter Emma froze with a fork halfway to her mouth. For a second, I honestly thought I had heard him wrong, but then he stood up and held a shattered luxury watch in the air. "My $5,000 watch," he shouted. "Your daughter destroyed it." More than 30 people were sitting around the private dining room, family, friends, business associates. Every pair of eyes turned toward Emma, and I watched the color drain from her face. "What?" she whispered. My stomach dropped because I knew that look. She wasn't guilty, she was terrified. "Emma didn't break anything," I said, but my brother-in-law, Derek, wasn't listening. He was already building a case. "I left my watch on the side table," he said. "She was the only kid near it." Emma's hands started shaking. "I didn't touch it. Stop lying." His voice cracked like a whip. My daughter immediately burst into tears. And somehow that only made him angrier. "I want compensation." The room became even quieter. "You want what?" I asked. $5,000. I laughed, not because it was funny. Because I genuinely couldn't believe what I was hearing. But Derek wasn't joking. His face was red, his jaw was clenched, and he looked completely serious. "I want every penny." My wife Sarah grabbed Emma's hand under the table. "She didn't do it." "Then prove it." Derek folded his arms. That was the moment something clicked in my head. Because the restaurant we were sitting in wasn't just any restaurant. It was one of the most expensive places in the city, the kind of place with cameras everywhere. I looked directly at him. "Check the cameras." For the first time that night, Derek hesitated, just for a second, but I saw it, and suddenly I knew something wasn't right. Because innocent people don't get nervous about security footage. His face tightened, then he forced a smile. "Fine," but something about his reaction bothered me, a lot, because he looked scared. And I had no idea why. 3 years earlier, I would have trusted Derek with my life. That's what made everything worse. When I first met him, he was charming, funny, confident. The kind of guy who could walk into any room and instantly become the center of attention. My younger sister, Lauren, adored him. My parents adored him. Honestly, most people did, at first. But over the years, cracks started showing. Small things, lies that didn't make sense, stories that changed, arguments he somehow always turned in his favor. It was subtle. So subtle that most people never noticed, but I did, and so did Sarah, especially after Emma was born. Derek had an odd relationship with success. He loved attention, needed it, craved it. If someone else achieved something, he somehow found a way to redirect the spotlight toward himself. When Sarah got promoted, Derek spent the entire celebration talking about his investments. When Emma won a regional science competition, Derek spent dinner bragging about his expensive car. Everything had to be about him. Everything. Still, I never expected this, accusing a child, my child. That crossed a line, and deep down I suspected he knew it. The waiter nervously stepped forward. "Sir, perhaps we can review security footage." Derek immediately interrupted. "No need to rush. Interesting, very interesting, because 10 seconds earlier he wanted $5,000 immediately. Now suddenly he wasn't in a hurry." I leaned back in my chair, watching him. Studying him, and the more I watched, the more uncomfortable he became. Emma sat beside me crying quietly. That alone was enough to make my blood boil. She was the gentlest kid I knew. The type who apologized when other people bumped into her. The type who rescued injured birds. The type who left encouraging notes for classmates having bad days. And this grown man had just publicly branded her a liar. I wasn't letting that go, not tonight. The restaurant manager arrived, a calm woman named Angela. She listened carefully as Derek repeated his story. Then she asked one question. "Did anyone witness the watch being broken?" Silence. Nobody had, because nobody actually saw Emma touch it. Derek quickly recovered. "She was the only one near it." Angela nodded. "Then we should review the footage." Again, that hesitation, that tiny flicker of panic. This time everyone noticed it. Including Lauren. My sister looked confused. Derek, his smile looked forced. "Of course." The manager disappeared, and suddenly the room felt different, like everyone was waiting for a storm. Derek kept checking his phone, checking the door, checking his watch. Well, his unbroken watch. That realization hit me like a truck. I stared at the shattered watch in his hand. Then at the expensive watch still sitting on his wrist. My eyes narrowed. "Wait, what?" "Derek," I said. His head snapped up. "Yeah, why are you wearing another luxury watch?" The room instantly went silent again. His face froze for a split second, then he laughed. "This one is older." I looked closer. No. It wasn't older, in fact it looked newer, much newer, and suddenly something felt very wrong, because people don't normally wear two $5,000 watches to dinner. The room started murmuring. Questions, whispers, doubt. I saw sweat forming on Derek's forehead, and then the manager returned. She wasn't alone. 2 security employees followed behind her. And they were carrying a laptop. The entire room turned toward them. Angela set the laptop down carefully. We located the footage. Derek stopped breathing. At least that's what it looked like. Lauren grabbed his arm. "Honey," he didn't answer. His eyes remained locked on the screen. The security employee opened the video file. I felt Emma's small hand squeeze mine. "Dad, it's okay." I kissed the top of her head because for the first time all night, I wasn't worried anymore. I was curious. The footage started playing, and within 10 seconds, everything changed, but not in the way any of us expected, because the camera didn't just reveal what happened to the watch, it revealed something far bigger. Something Derek had been hiding from our entire family for years, and the second it appeared on that screen, his face turned completely white. The footage showed the side table where Derek claimed he had left his watch. Everyone leaned closer. Emma squeezed my hand. The room was completely silent. Then the video showed Derek walking over to the table. He looked around, left, right, behind him, almost like he was checking if anyone was watching. A strange feeling hit my stomach. Then Derek removed the watch from his wrist, placed it on the table, and intentionally knocked it onto the floor. The screen clearly showed him stomping on it with his shoe, once, twice, 3 times. The room exploded. "What the hell? Did he just— Is this real?" Lauren's hand flew to her mouth. My parents stared at the screen in disbelief. Emma started crying again, but this time from relief. "Dad, I told the truth." "I know, sweetheart." I hugged her tightly, but the video wasn't over, not even close. The security footage switched to another angle. And that's when everything became even worse. A few minutes before dinner, Derek had been speaking privately with a man near the entrance. The restaurant's audio wasn't available, but the security team had already identified him. One of Derek's business partners. Angela quietly cleared her throat. "We should probably show the next clip." The screen changed. It showed Derek handing cash to the man. Then the man slipped a small envelope into Derek's jacket pocket. The entire room looked confused. Until Angela spoke again. "We recognized the individual." Nobody said a word. "He was involved in a luxury insurance fraud investigation last year." The room froze. Lauren looked like she might faint. "What are you saying?" Angela took a breath. "We believe Mr. Derek intentionally damaged his own watch and planned to file an insurance claim." I watched Derek's confidence completely disappear. His shoulders slumped, his face turned pale, and for the first time since I'd known him, he had no excuse. Lauren stood up. "Tell me they're wrong." Silence. "Derek, nothing." "Look at me." Everyone jumped. Tears streamed down her face. And finally Derek lowered his head. That was his answer. The room erupted. People started yelling. Family members demanded explanations. Friends walked away from the table. Business associates exchanged uncomfortable looks. Years of carefully built reputation collapsed in less than 5 minutes, but I wasn't focused on Derek. I was focused on Emma because the damage he'd done to her wasn't something a simple apology could fix. He had humiliated a child, publicly, knowingly, just to protect himself. Lauren removed her wedding ring. The room went silent again. "Derek, we're done." His head snapped up. "What? We're done." The ring landed on the table. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Because everyone knew this wasn't a threat, it was over. A week later, Derek's company suspended him. A month later, investigators officially reopened several insurance claims connected to him. Many of his business partners disappeared overnight. The friends who once admired him stopped answering his calls, and the family, they chose Emma, not him. As for my daughter, healing took time. For weeks she kept asking why an adult would lie about her. I never had a good answer, because honestly I still don't, but something beautiful happened afterward. The entire family organized a special dinner just for her, not to erase what happened, but to remind her that truth matters, that character matters, and that good people don't stay down forever. At the end of that dinner, Emma smiled at me and said something I'll never forget. "Dad, the cameras didn't save me." I looked at her. "What do you mean?" She squeezed my hand. "You believed me before the cameras did." And in that moment I realized something. The best thing I did that night wasn't exposing Derek, it wasn't winning, it wasn't proving him wrong. It was standing beside my daughter when nobody else would, because sometimes the people we love don't need a hero. They just need someone who believes them, and that made all the difference.